Hey everyone, welcome to the In The Huddle podcast. Nice to have you here with us today. This is a brand new podcast which is going to provide a unique inside look at everything football, but specifically the NFL. We'll be bringing on coaches, current and former players, and those who are tied to the business side of the game. We'll also discuss weekly matchups and fantasy news while trying our best to keep some sort of structure. Before we get on to the fun stuff, a little bit more about us.
Yes, thanks, Nate. My name's Josh Jenkins. I'm going to run with. I'm the what else call it? I invented this podcast, and I've got the creator. Thanks, Nate. So obviously a huge NFL fan. Play AFL football by day for the Adelaide Crows, and an American, but particularly NFL sports addict by night. So can't wait for all of us to be able to have our opinions on the game. Intense discussions, arguments, all that type of stuff, and as we move through the season, pass on to one of our other guests, Tommy.
Thank you, Josh. Yes, as Josh mentioned, I'm also an Adelaide Crows footballer. I'm a US sports enthusiast, but in particular the NFL. It got me hooked travelling over there a few years back, and I go back many years, or most years, to the States, and went and saw my New England Patriots last year, Drew, which I'm sure you'll touch on later. But I had a great time over there, and looking forward to giving my opinions on a few topics as well.
Yeah, so my name's Drew. I'm from Alabama. I've lived in Australia for about 6 years. I played some NCAA ball in the late 90s, and I'm a huge Alabama fan. Also, I'm a tragic Patriots fan. Really looking forward to the upcoming season, and this podcast is going to be something that will be good for everyone in Australia that is NFL tragic like we all are. So we're really looking forward to giving you guys some updates.
My name's Nate. I'm an Adelaide Crows player. Just kidding.
Nate's the producer of the show.
Love all things sports, but especially NFL, NCAA football. Lived in Seattle for 17 years.
And he sounds American, but
I'm
he's
Australian.
not, apparently.
Went to University of Washington. Go Dogs.
UW.
And
I thought it was Huskies.
Come on now.
Oh.
So given my background, I'll try to keep some structure to this thing. And I'm basically just here for the love of the game.
Massive Huskies fan you are, yeah?
Yes, that's right.
Wife Huskies fan too?
Let's not get into that.
Oh. Is she not a Huskies fan?
Oh, rival school. Rival school. I don't even know how that worked out.
Let that be known early.
So what is that, the Beavers? Who's that?
I don't remember. I don't think they had a mascot.
Did they not?
They're the Cougars.
Yeah, cool.
The Cougars.
I'm a Clay Thompson.
So first off, just a little bit of a discussion around what just happened this past week in, preseason week 3?
Dress rehearsals, as they call them.
That's right.
Yeah, the next to last cut was today. So they've got, I think September 5th is the final cut where they get down to 53.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people that are on pins and needles. Yeah. A lot of people who probably already know they've got the spot, so they're just trying not to get injured for the regular season.
Injury has been an issue this preseason, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's been 25 ACL injuries up to date thus far, and I mean, that's unheard of for this stage of the year. And yeah,
big names too.
I'm not really sure what to put it down to, and neither the NFL, but there are some certainly big names.
Absolutely. Nelson's key. He's going to be a big loss for Green Bay. Kelvin Benjamin as well. Obviously, Cam's probably number one target alongside Greg Olsen. So,
geez, that hurts a lot of fantasy teams, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the ones that have already done their drafts, like all of us.
Or if you drafted a player that already had
the torn ACL
and weren't aware of it. Or if you drafted a player and then the next day he blew his ACL. So
well, that's when you have the all waiver team.
Yeah.
You know,
but you never really know, do you? I mean, like Victor Cruz, we thought might maybe get 7 or 8 points. It's almost looking like he might not even see the field this year, from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. So getting back to the games themselves, what really stood out for you guys? I mean, for me personally, you can't help but ignore or pay attention to Sam Bradford and the Eagles. They're flying at the moment.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance as to how much to read into the preseason games. You hear the experts on ESPN and those types of shows talking about not reading anything into the games, but everyone's out there, their pads and helmets are on, so you have to at least look at what's being put out there. And I mean, at the moment, the Eagles are just blitzing everyone, even Sanchez and Tebow when they come in and been performing unbelievably. So they're doing some good stuff. Maybe Chip is the smart man that he proclaims to be after all.
Jeez, is the Tebow pose going to be relevant again?
I think it's fantastic. I think Tebow is actually probably going to make a spot and be a good red zone quarterback for the Eagles. His accuracy when it comes to passing obviously is not very good. His mechanics are a little bit incorrect. But
0-2 from 2.
Was this Brady?
Wasn't he?
You talking about Brady?
I'm talking about Tim Tebow, dude. Brady. We'll talk a little bit about Brady a little bit later. But the Eagles are definitely doing really well. Chip Kelly has always been a mastermind of taking players and fitting them into a system that is really just about player responsibility. It's very similar to the old option game, where if the defense doesn't take their man and be responsible for their man and only react to that, you can really score a lot of points, which we're seeing now is a little bit more effective in the NFL than some people thought was going to be.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Geez, the defense might be spending a lot of time on the field though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's one of those offenses where they dare you to try to keep up with them in points. So they're always going to score. It's just a matter of whether or not the defenses can keep up.
It's like the Longhorns under Mac.
Yeah, that's right.
Right up the score and who can keep up.
Yeah. Until Darius comes and blows up Colt McCoy, and then the game's over and roll tide, everybody.
That just came full circle.
Didn't take long. Did not take long.
So obviously Eagles are flying at the moment, but again, as Josh mentioned earlier, it is only the preseason, and you can only take so much of that, but they're performing and looking sharp at this point. Leading, I think one of the bigger stories, maybe just off the field, is what's going on with Mr. Brady.
Yeah, and as mentioned earlier, there are 2 Patriot fans here, so it might be.
Firstly, let me just exclude myself from this part of the conversation because I am sick to death.
Well, I think it's going to be over tomorrow.
Tom Brady versus.
What do you have on that?
I really think it's either going to be 4 or 0. With this in arbitration, I really believe that Tom's going to get 0. I really do. And it's a big stick it up yet to Goodell, but it is what it is.
Well, didn't Tom go for 1 today, and they can come to an agreement?
Yeah. Well, the big part about it is Tom doesn't want to admit guilt in any of this, and I think Kraft is probably backing him up on that. They're both really just trying to say that the whole thing has been a big bungle. I mean, here we are. When we were talking about this when the Super Bowl was around, and it still hasn't been fixed.
Do you think you're a Patriots fan, but I think you'll be a little bit more non-biased than Tom? Do you think he doesn't want to admit guilt because he's guilty and wants to hide that? Or he's got too much pride?
I don't necessarily think it's about pride. I think it's about the stipulations of what they're saying he did. He didn't do. He didn't deflate the balls, did he?
He doesn't want to end his career with an asterisk by his name.
And when it comes to the whole destroying the cell phone thing, I actually think that has nothing to do with football. After hearing about the Ben Affleck nanny ordeal on the plane, he's got a hot wife, and he probably didn't want to see what was on the phone.
On the surface, though, that's a pretty shady. When I first heard that, I thought he is as guilty as a daisy.
But he does have a history of destroying all his phones.
So say it does go to 0 games. How does that look on Goodell?
Well, Goodell has looked like a clown before this started anyway. I mean, if Tom Brady gets 4 games, and then the way that he handled the Ray Rice situation, and even going back to what was the guy's name that was out in the Panthers?
Greg Hardy.
Yeah, going back to the Hardy situation. I mean, the way that he's handled all of these situations, he looks like a joke. So for him to be sticking this much to the 4-game suspension, I think is ridiculous.
Can they appeal after this? If he does get 0, is this just going to drag out longer and longer?
If it's 0 tomorrow, I don't think.
I don't think the NFL will challenge.
I don't think they can challenge. I think because Brady is the defendant, he can appeal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
that's enough of that.
Yeah. Next in the news is another quarterback who we like to call RG3.
Yeah, massive news overnight. Giving Kirk Cousins a starting job.
For the whole year, he said as well, Jay Gruden.
Oh, not just week one.
He's the QB for 2015. I mean, that may well be a poor choice in words. I'm sure that there's going to be some movement. But
there is also something in RG3's contract that talks about if he is healthy at the end of the season that he doesn't have to get a massive pay. It's like a $16 million payout. If RG3 is injured at the end of the season,
is that it?
So they've got the option to waive him though.
Yeah, they can get rid of him, but if he is healthy at the end of the season, they don't have to pay out a massive amount of money. So they're just going to bench him.
He's Snyder's man though.
I think that's starting to wane a little bit because Snyder is, before he's an RG3 fan, even before he owned the team, he was a massive Redskins fan.
Yeah.
So he wants the team to win, I think, at all costs. And it's obvious that with Gruden at the helm as a head coach, it's not going to happen with RG3.
So obviously, before they even look at the option of waiving him, are there any teams out there that would likely offer a trade up for him, like a starting role? Can you see any of the other teams
at this point in the season?
At this point in the season,
I could see him at the Jets. To be honest with you,
Yep.
I could see him there. I could even with Rex
Browns.
The Browns for sure. And with the way that Rex Ryan absolutely takes all these dumpster fires to his team, he could probably go play back up at the Bills.
the only thing about Griffin is he takes baggage. He's got baggage now. Like he's a travelling circus. So I'm not sure that the Jets really need that. They've had enough of that.
The thing about RG3 and the Gruden system is that Gruden needs a pocket passer, and RG3 is the antithesis of that. There's no way that he's going to sit in the pocket. And then with the offensive line not liking the quarterback, they're obviously not going to do work to block for him.
And speaking of, I think just briefly touching on a mobile quarterback, Tyrod Taylor with the Bills. Obviously, they're not.
Man, Joshy.
They won't be relying on his arm, will they?
I really like Tyrod. I was at Essendon many moons ago. I live with Heath Hocking, so shout out to Heath. Hopefully, he'll be one of our loyal followers in the not too distant future. He's a big Baltimore fan, and he was a rap for Tyrod Taylor. So, in the little brief moments he got to play behind Flacco, he looked pretty good. And I mean, once again, preseason can not be everything.
What can we expect from him?
I mean, he's got that. Yeah, he's a threat on the ground. Yeah. Rex said was his quote. He wants to run it more than.
I think he said he's going to run the ball more than any other team in the NFL.
What was that stat? Rex's Jets team last year, I think it was versus Carolina. Yes. They ran 49 times.
And he threw the ball 13 times that game. I did see that. Yeah. So,
however, if you are in fantasy and looking for running back, they'll be running back by committee. So
we'll get to that later.
I wouldn't necessarily go with them.
Absolutely, for the fantasy fans out there.
Because they cut Fred Jackson today.
So where does that leave EJ Manuel? Is he?
He has to.
He's going to be holding the clipboard, making a nice chunk of change because he's got a fantastic contract. But
I think he looked all right. He's looked all right this preseason. I think, as we said with RG3, if you're Cleveland or the Jets, you got to be ringing up about EJ. At least have a look. I'm sure they are.
Well, if Tyrod doesn't cut it, Castle would be in, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I'd say Manuel's a number 3, and you could argue that he's better than a couple of number 1 options in the league for sure.
All right, and obviously for good reason, everyone in Australia is paying attention to the NFL probably more than ever, and for the one sole reason, and that is Jared Hayne with the Niners.
Yeah, it's a remarkable story.
They're desperate to sell tickets, aren't they?
Well, I mean, what else are they going to do? They're not going to win any games. I mean,
they'll win 4.
You think they'll win 4?
I've got them winning 4 games this year.
Who do you have them beating?
3 less than the Pats.
Who do you think they're going to beat? Do you have the teams down that you thought they'd be winning against?
I just went through this, Drew. This isn't like a weekly.
Oh.
I mean, we'll get back to Hayne, but their defense has been decimated. They were feared 2-3 years ago, and they're in the Super Bowl. Well, they've lost Willis, Ballin retires, Alden Smith's been cut. Who else have they had leave? They've had who else have they had? There's definitely 1 or 2 more. Justin Smith, he retired as well. So they've been absolutely flawed. Their defense is a shell of itself. So they're going to struggle to win football games.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. So my thing is Haynes leading in jersey sales over Kaepernick. Right? Yeah. They've already sold out. They're having reprint jerseys now. He's definitely not going to be on the team as a running back, but I think they're going to keep a slot for him just as kick and punt returner, just only on the fact that he is a
That's
sideshow.
his sole position.
Well, explain that, because a 53-man roster might sound like a lot, but it's actually, when you have the offense and defense, limited
Special
for numbers.
teams,
So
yeah.
I mean, not many teams will carry a specialist punt returner or a kick returner.
Well, I think you'd be surprised. Most teams actually leave room for long snapper, which is for the most part a backup, punter, kicker, and one return guy who would get a little bit of work as a wide receiver spot.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they usually have one burner who is listed as a returner rather than a wide receiver.
Could he make the depth chart as a running back?
No, they're going to keep. They're going to keep
Are they
four.
5 deep?
They're 6 deep right now.
Okay.
They didn't cut a running back today. They're 6 deep right now. But what they're going to do is in this next cut get rid of 2 of those running backs, and then where the running backs would usually be one of the return guys, with Reggie Bush being his age, he's not going to be doing any returns. So they're just going to let Hayne burn it up on those. Which the whole thing kind of baffles me, because Hayne is taking I would say probably a $650,000 pay cut to return kicks. I think he was offered 1.2 with the what's the team
with the Eels?
Or
Rapidos?
no. Anyway, there's you guys.
Are you talking about NRL?
I'm talking about rugby. There's one team who was offered him 1.2.
Yeah.
Okay.
With over 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, he making 1.2 per.
1.2 per year for 5 years. It may have been.
That's where he was.
Is there a Rebels team?
No.
Melbourne
I
Rebels.
sound like an idiot.
That's rugby too, like rugby league rugby. But he would have been making very close to, if not more than $1 million, probably in the past 4 years, because those guys get paid well for Origin and all those sorts of things.
But you look at sponsorship deals now. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, sponsorship would be all right.
He's already picked up a couple of Qantas and someone else.
Yeah, but I guess when you're talking about that kind of money, you just go do whatever you want to do.
I mean, there must be huge upside though. I mean, if he's doing what he's doing in the first few games and creating such noise, especially throughout Australia, but also mainly San Francisco.
Yeah. In his first 2 games, he's had 5 punt returns for 108 yards, 1 kick return for 33, and 13 carries at running back for 117 yards.
Could you see him developing into a running back?
Yeah, I could actually see Reggie Bush getting injured because he's so old, and then
Gets injured every second game.
and then
He's 30, right?
at least, yeah.
Because he was in school. Okay.
Yeah, but at the beginning of all of this, I was just like, this is the biggest beat up I've ever seen in my life. But he was really running for his life in the preseason, which most teams don't really have players that do that at those positions because they're already solidified. They know what they're going to do.
Well, in this I'm looking at, they have, in terms of running back depth chart, Hayne is listed 4th behind Carlos Hyde, Reggie Bush, Kendall Hunter. And then regarding punt returners, he's actually 3rd. But I think, like you said, they're not going to have Reggie back there. And they have Reggie as the number 1 punt returner on this depth chart, so he'll move up.
Yeah, I think Bush probably got the 3 return yards on purpose when he was back there taking his
He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah. All right.
Also, I'd like to make a mention that while we're talking about Australians in the NFL, Jesse Williams, who played for Alabama and national champion at Alabama, is coming off of a kidney cancer and has within the year. He had surgery less than a year ago to remove.
4 months ago.
Yeah, right. And so the guy is already back playing. I think that it's almost kind of thrown a little bit of shade on Jesse Williams with the Hayne thing, but I think we'd be remiss to not make a special mention of the fact that this guy has overcome so many obstacles. He's had 2 knee injuries, and however, he does have an NCAA championship ring, and he also has a Super Bowl ring.
And plenty of tattoos.
How many years have you been with the Seahawks for now?
This will be his
2nd.
No, this is his 3rd. This is his 3rd because he had 2 knee injuries.
Yeah.
So he must be talented after 2 injuries.
They keep
Still keep him the way they cut.
He's fantastic. He has incredible side-to-side movement, and you cannot push him backwards. He's the way that he's built like an upside-down triangle. So he's just amazing. When
chicken legs.
He'll take on an A and B gap every day. Might not make a lot of tackles, but you're not running up the middle with him. He's fantastic.
The LSU boys run all over him.
Well, when he played in Alabama, no, I believe we got a national championship out of that one. I don't know if you guys remember 21-0
You walked right into that, Thomas.
in the game. It was a game of field goals. You guys didn't score a touchdown
Just
against
letting our
us.
listeners know how biased we are, really.
That's right. Roll Tide, everybody.
There it is.
So obviously this is our inaugural show. So listening to in following weeks for us to have guests on,
Yep.
and we'll have, like I mentioned earlier, we'll have a variety of guests, different backgrounds, but obviously all tied to the NFL and with great knowledge of the sport. So that'll be a lot of fun for us to ask them questions and probably get a couple of predictions from them too.
Yeah, for sure. I think between the four of us, we have a pretty good. We've got some pretty good contacts, and we'll be able to get a hold of some pretty good guests.
I think Drew knows a few in Alabama.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got Nick Saban's phone number. I'll give him a call.
Yeah.
Some guys that have played in the NFL, guys that are around the league, and obviously know more than us. So we'll endeavour to get pretty regular guests. Hopefully each week, if not every other week. So that'll be something to look forward to.
I'm pretty excited at the moment. Tom arguably had, Yahoo says he had the best draft out of 8 teams in this league.
Fantasy time.
Well,
Yahoo says this is a league based on projections at the moment.
Yeah, as of right now, he's still sitting at the top with the points.
But what is great about this now is the fact that we're playing each other in week 1, and I think we're about tied.
So you want to run the listeners through about our league, Nate, or?
Yeah, we've got our league is Monday morning quarterback. There's 8 of us in the league. Drew and myself are the American sounding ones. Oh, actually, I guess Patty's
You're Australian, mate, that's right. Drew's American.
Yeah. All right. Then we have.
I do have an Australian passport. I'm a citizen.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Dual
They
citizen.
no, they can do this to anyone now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. As long as you can speak English.
Can I get an American one?
What's the real? You'd have to get rid of your Aussie.
Yeah.
A girl? Aussie girl?
No. Actually, no. I think you can keep both.
Hannah's in the room.
Girls?
No. I think you can keep both passports. I think you can be Australian.
You have to renounce.
You do?
Yeah.
If you go the other way.
Sorry, Tom. Let's get back to fantasy. He's very eager.
Sorry about that. He's chomping at the bit.
Yeah, 8-man league.
8-man league.
Won the predictions thus far.
Yeah, won the projections.
Yeah,
let's all.
You can only do what you can do.
You can't just shake your hand on the projections.
Yeah, congratulations on not winning anything so far.
First round pick was.
Who, my first round pick?
Yes, you.
I don't really know if I should be letting people know my team, should I?
Well, you need to tell these people to help them out, and
Exactly. That's why they're listening.
There'll be some people who haven't done a draft yet.
Maybe they want the number 1 projected team.
Well, I wanted to let them know, but he's a Bama product.
Absolutely. We grow big and strong.
Yeah, okay, I'll go on my
Standard
team.
league, not a PPR.
Yeah. Julio Jones was my first pick. Nathaniel.
Julio. Yep. And you backed it up with whom? You had two. You have back-to-back picks.
Nah, went wide out running back. Went Matt Forte, my second pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
And Julio just re-signed. What was a 4-year deal?
Had the option to take Gronk, but thought it was
4 years.
71 mil.
47.5 guaranteed.
Amazing.
That's some coin.
Amazing. That guy has never not been good.
Yeah,
seriously.
He's worth it.
We before he even came to play for Alabama, he said he was going to be the best wide receiver at Alabama when he was 17.
Amari Cooper said the same thing.
Over 71 million means 100 yards and 2 scores guaranteed each week too.
Well, him and Roddy White, also another Bama boy from Alabama.
I think Tommy's biggest issue is the fact that who's passing him the ball?
Yeah.
My QB.
Yeah, Matty Ice. Not a huge fan of Matty Ice.
I'm a big fan. I love Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
well, he's got a fantastic
we've had this debate numerous times, but yeah, he's had that for a while now, though.
Yeah.
Just hasn't been able to get the job done, especially with those weapons in Julio and Roddy and the boys. Harry Douglas, who's moved on this year. But
he's gone.
He certainly had some weapons. Tony Gonzalez was there.
I think that defense has been pretty ordinary, though. Let's be
Well, they got an up-and-coming cornerback, Desmond Trufant.
They drafted
Go Dogs.
Vic Beasley, so that might help the situation.
Yeah, well, getting back to fantasy anyway.
Besides the obvious, who are you most excited about on your team?
On my team, I'm pretty excited about about Jarvis Landry from the Miami Dolphins, wide receiver. I know you might laugh at that, but I reckon he's got
he keeps
a
trying to
lot
dish him
of
off.
upside. I reckon he's
LSU
got a
boy?
lot of upside, yeah. LSU boy.
He keeps trying to dish him off.
At least you can claim he's SEC.
Yeah, go SEC. He is tall. He's very long.
Yeah, what he's told
Not
is he
overly-
5'10"?
Landry.
I reckon he can make some big plays this year.
You're giving us Jarvis Landry as your
Seriously?
most exciting person on your team.
Drew, step up. Who's your favorite? Who are you looking forward to watch? Like, of your fantasy guys, who's in?
He's OBJ 2.0.
For me, I think that.
Is it Kelvin Benjamin?
No, I to be honest with you, I'm really excited about seeing what Jamal Charles does. I mean, he was an obvious first pick.
Well, no one would have said that.
But I don't think Kansas City's really going to be throwing the ball as much as people would project from the
Jerry Macklin, he's in my squad.
Yeah,
Starter.
Yeah, you got one guy. That's all. Who else? What's
tight ends?
They didn't even have one guy.
Kelsey's
Or any
but
touchdowns.
Kelsey's nice because he is a good blocker.
So last year they didn't throw a touchdown to a wide receiver at all. Now they got Macklin. You reckon they're going to run the ball more?
Yes, absolutely.
Macklin has 2 this preseason.
Absolutely. Macklin will be when they go third. Okay, so they run 2 plays. It's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. Macklin's the guy they go to get the first down. It's not going to be a guy they're going to go to on first.
Macklin
down,
has 2 TDs this preseason. That's 2 more than all of last year.
Yeah.
I believe so.
That's not bad.
That's what's correct.
What about you, Josh? Who's your guy?
I took Demarius first up. I've been a sucker taking my man love Calvin Johnson the last 3 years. It did secure me a title a couple of seasons back, but he's 30 now. He's been battling injuries. So I went with Demarius Thomas. I think Peyton can get him the ball enough. Still, Julius Thomas is not going to be there in the red zone to steal some TDs from him. So hopeful for a big year from Demarius. He had over 1,500 yards last year, so maybe not that many yards this year, but hopefully we'll get some more touchdowns.
Do they run the ball more, Denver, this year?
I mean, they went to the ground a fair bit late last year. So when Manning was injured, they went to the ground a fair bit.
I mean, the guy, he can't even feel his fingers right now. He's admittedly said that.
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't been able to feel his neck for how long?
Well, yeah, that was an amazing story. The fact that he could come back from that, but he's obviously in his twilight. I reckon this will be it for him this year.
What about
Well, I'm going to jump in and tell you who I'm looking forward to on my team.
Go for it.
Beast mode. My only concern with that is is red zone.
Who does he play for?
Red zone.
The bias on this show is already an issue between Bama and Seattle.
Well, I mean, obviously, he's going to pound it. He's going to pound it every game.
Well, obviously.
He's actually the number 1. If you want to look at projections, Tommy, he's the number 1 rated offensive player now on Yahoo.
As you saw in that last game, they do prefer to throw it though. So
with the Seahawks,
you like to think we learn from mistakes.
that's always been a good idea.
Yeah.
Throw the ball for the Seahawks.
Yeah, when you're 2 yards out, come on.
The addition of the big tight end in Jimmy Graham, how does that change their offense?
How does it change their offense?
Yeah, and especially
keep pounding it.
Especially fantasy
It's
points.
just going to take one out of the box for Marshawn, isn't it?
He's still going to rack him up.
Yeah, I agree.
He's going to rack him up.
Okay.
Jimmy Graham will be that outlet for Wilson when he's taking off running.
It's going to affect Jimmy more than it's going to affect Lynch. I would
Absolutely.
Tommy's been sitting over here taking notes probably more than he did in class when he was in school. So what's going on over here? Why don't you tell us?
Well, we were briefly touching on the run game for the Denver Broncos. I just wanted to throw up the fact that CJ Anderson's a top pick in most fantasy drafts, but
is he on your team?
No, he's not on my team. He's not, but he's going quite high. He's projected to go in most top 10. So I just want to know, is he? What's the leash on him in terms of Ronnie Hillman or Monte Ball probably stepping and getting the job, because they got some good running backs on their roster.
True. He I mean, I obviously didn't start the year as number 1 last year, but he performed pretty well, down the stretch. So I think he's safe enough to be a running back 1 for now. But I can understand your query on that, because I remember I had picked up Hillman through the year last year, and he performed excellent as well before he got injured. So
touch and go.
Yeah,
it's a watch this space, as Damien Barrett would say.
And I feel as if there's a lot of watch this space for numerous teams. I mean, Cincinnati Bengals another one. Obviously, Jeremy Hill's the obvious choice at running back now. But your man Giovanni Bernard, Josh. I mean, how long does it take before he puts his name back up in bright lights?
I mean, it's interesting with so many teams they want to go running back by committee, but what's the little offensive coordinator, Hugh Jackson at Cincy?
Yeah.
He said he actually wants a workhorse back, which is interesting. And Hill's got Jair doesn't have the size to carry the ball every down.
In terms of fantasy, if you're going to be drafting a running back high, you need to make sure that he's on a one-horse team. You don't want guys like, for instance, even in the Patriots with Blunt and Gray, I think Blunt's probably not going to get the ball very much this year now, even though they were.
This actually opens up my discussion with Tom. He's been persistently trying to get rid of Landry for Joseph Randle, and Dallas is going to be running back by committee now.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
Really starting to like Landry in the last week of pre-season.
I think
in that dress rehearsal, I reckon, as I said before, he's OBJ 2.0.
That's a big call.
Part of the La Familia.
The royal family, as those boys refer to themselves. Not happy with. I'm LSU fan, but not happy with the royal family.
Well, Aussie products in there too.
Yeah, is he?
Great wing.
Yeah, Wingy's part of the.
One white boy.
Yeah, Wingy.
I think an overlying theme is running back's an issue this year.
Absolutely.
There's so many. All the drafts. I've not the mistake, but I've gone wide out in my drafts, and it leaves you pretty thin.
Yeah.
In the back, so people are going to have to pull some rabbits out of their hats this year to if they're going to win the title. The backs might decide a lot of fantasy titles.
Now, do you guys think that Devin Funches can step into, obviously not fully replace Benjamin, but do you think he's going to have some big stats this year? Or what are you projecting for him?
I don't. I think they're going to have to change the schematics.
Well, the Wolverine.
I'll have to defer up to you, Drew, on that.
But it's one of those wait and sees, man. You can make a prediction, but that's the thing about preseason. Everybody gets tired of it because it's just
injury laden.
It's a big circus. You've got about maybe 2 series where you're actually running with your first team, and then after that, you're really just looking at who you're going to be getting rid of. But you can do that in regular trainings and normal 1s versus 2s in your preseason warm-ups. There's really not a need for us to have this many preseason games in the NFL. With the amount of injuries that happen in this league, I reckon they should probably either add a game to the regular season and get rid of a preseason game, or just get rid of a preseason game altogether.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another one of the major issues, I remember we've spoken about running backs quite a lot, but the 2 rookie started running backs in Gurley and Gordon. In our drafts especially, they went quite early. I thought they'd drop a little bit as keeper options maybe for the following year, but what's your opinion on that, Drew?
Well, I think Gurley is another one of those that you're going to have to wait and see. He blew his knee out playing for Georgia and is now coming back from that. So I thought he got drafted pretty high, considering he had that serious of an injury. It's one of those you just don't really know how they're going to come back from it. They could blow it out again, like Sunseri did yesterday for the Saints.
No one will know about it. Go on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I took Gurley. I've got Gurley on my side. I took Gurley, but you can cover him with Le'Veon Bell's going to miss the first couple, so you can go D'Angelo Williams. He might get 20 touches in the first couple of games. Because Gurley's still touch and go for week 1, so he may well play week 1, 2, 3, and then he'll start to get more of a workload. I guess that's a best case scenario. But hopefully, as I've done, I've taken a chance on Gurley and Arian Foster. His health's always been a concern, but I just feel like he can be a difference maker. If he plays the last 8 games of the year and plays like he did last year, he can be a difference maker.
So leading into the last week of preseason, obviously we're all pretty excited for regular season to get going, but what are you really watching for? Obviously this Saturday is Final Cut. For the rosters to break down to 53.
Yeah, if you're looking.
So are we looking for anything here? Or we just ready to go for week 1?
We're just football fans, so I'm sure we'll watch bits and pieces. I often watch.
I can't help but just have it on if it's on in the house. Like you just
background noise.
You have to watch it.
Game Pass is excellent. Watch the games in condensed mode.
Yeah, NFL, hook us up.
But
that statement was brought to you by NFL Game Pass.
For our listeners, if they're looking to tune in this weekend to see starters, they're definitely not seeing that.
No.
So there's going to be, Jared Haynes, one of those ones. He'll get a lot of touches this week. You'd imagine.
Well, I think like North Melbourne, everyone's sitting, right?
Yeah.
Bazinga. I like that one. That was good.
But, teams are just fine-tuning their rosters right now, and this week's so important for those guys on the fringe.
So each week, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to really try to pay attention and have a regular agenda so that everyone knows what they're tuning into. And with that, we'll have a guest each week. Next week, we're going to have Jason Bennett on the show. And yes, that is for sure thing.
Yeah. Give us a little bit of background on Jason.
But what we'll do is, Josh can jump in a minute and give us a background on him. But each week, we'll start out by doing a weekly review. So we'll talk about the studs and duds of each week. We'll do a bit of a roundup. We'll talk about sure things and guarantees for the upcoming week. Talk about any injuries and how that impacts players on rosters. But also, for those who are interested in fantasy, we'll touch on implications with those injuries. We'll do a 2-minute drill. We'll run through some NFL news, any injuries, trades, and rumors that we're hearing. And then, of course, our guest chats are going to be really entertaining. We're going to have a great time talking to those people and getting some insight from them, but then also having them do some big board predictions for the season ahead.
Absolutely.
So, Josh, do you want to just tell us a bit about Jason?
Jason, yes. Tom and I were fortunate enough on our trip last year. We linked up with Jason Bennett. He spent, I believe, I couldn't tell you the exact amount of time he spent in the States. He lived in Bristol, working for ESPN as host of the Aussies Abroad
Headquarters.
TV show. Yes, was a highly successful show where he interviewed and went and did some work with some of Australia's greatest athletes overseas. So we were lucky enough to stay with Jason and his family, and obviously struck up a great relationship. We watched the Thursday night football game at his place in Bristol. He's since moved back to Australia and is probably looking to pursue opportunities back in Australia. He's keen to have his girls grow up back here, so it's great for us to have him back over here. And he's obviously got a great depth of knowledge on especially NFL, but all sports. So
probably great perspective on things.
Absolutely,
too,
he's sort of seen the sport from both sides of the fence. So he'll be able to give us some great insight into football, and especially, I guess, from the collegiate level. He's spent a lot of time with college players, a lot of punters in big time college programs. So he'll be certainly worth a listen.
Yep. Any last minute snaps?
I would say if you haven't done your draft yet, if you are an early pick in your draft, take a running back first that you know is going to be a workhorse. And if you are late in the draft in the first pick, take a wide receiver that you know is going to be really good. If you want a dark horse for a wide receiver, I would suggest Amari Cooper. Jump on him quick. He is a rookie, but he certainly made Patrick Peterson look really silly yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Yes. Amari Cooper.
Yes.
Amari Cooper played for Alabama and
Alabama State? Or is this?
No, Alabama State. This is Bulldogs. This is
Crimson Tide. Okay.
Yeah. Amari Cooper, I would go ahead and say if you find betting odds for
Roy.
Whoa. Funny you should say.
Whoa, big board. Is this big board?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you find Rookie of the Year odds anywhere, go ahead and put him down for Rookie of the Year.
What's he paying? $1?
No, I haven't seen any odds for that yet.
Funnily enough,
Josh,
you should say, Drew.
What is Cooper's odds?
Well, that's strange.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, equal favourite at $8.10.
Put your house on it. Put your house on it. Take your house,
gamble
turn it into cash, put your house on it.
Gamble
responsibly.
Amari Cooper is the number one receiver for the Raiders, and they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place with Carr.
Well, I know one of us in particular has a fondness of Derek Carr.
Certainly do, but Rookie of the Year, big call.
Who else are you going to put out there?
Well, I'm going to turn to the other side of the ball for my season forecast award, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go left field here because of a suspension to Sean Smith, Kansas City. So Nate will be thrilled here. I'm going to go $21. So just a nice $10 note is going to win you over $200 for Marcus Peters to be Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
He's going to start. He's obviously a highly credentialed player. Had his off-field troubles at UW. Kicked off the team, I believe, was he?
He was.
Happens a lot up there, doesn't it?
But he can obviously play. First-round talent. Sean Smith suspended for the first 4 games, so he's going to start. And if he plays well, he'll stay in the rotation. And there aren't I think a lot of those young linemen and linebackers that were drafted, they're all same. So Peters might be a difference maker.
Yeah, that's one of those things where if you get in, when somebody above you gets injured on the depth chart, when you get in, you just do everything you can not to get out.
Exactly.
Let's man up.
And what about you, Tony?
Most weeks I'll be offering up a multi-bet in terms of just line winners for the round, but not this week due to the fact that of the last pre-season game and just young games. But the last thing I want to sort of mention is obviously Drew mentioned before. Hopefully this Brady case gets sorted tomorrow, and that's the end of it. But if the betting sites are anything to go by, I mean New England are still paying $4.50 to win the AFC. So maybe they know something that we don't, and Brady will be fronting up week 1 in Foxborough.
I firmly believe that's going to happen.
What's your bet for the week?
$4.50.
That's
great value.
So $4.50. Okay.
The Pats, AFC champs.
Josh's pick was probably most left field, but I like it.
You can cut that one.
Mine's not really that exciting. I'm going MVP Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's hard to look past him.
Although
that's my quarterback on my fantasy team.
Drew mentioned it. Okay. I think Jamal Charles can. I'm sort of looking from a value perspective, not just purely who's the best player in the league. Obviously, got to have the capabilities to win MVP, but I think Charles, he's had 5 touchdowns in a game. He's had nearly 200 yards receiving in a game. He's got the ability to do it all. So, if Alex Smith can get him the ball enough, and Lynchy over here has questioned Alex Smith's desire to give the ball to Charles, which I'm not sure where he gets that information from, but if Charles gets enough touches at $19, he's a MVP candidate.
Thanks for joining us on this, our first In The Huddle podcast. Look forward to, and we'll open up from a social media perspective for questions, which would be great. Each week we'll pick a few questions to answer that are football related, and have some fun with it so that we can get some interaction going. So thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Roll Tide, y'all.